Okay, so this is an overview of my DBA lesson, which I just kind of want to walk you through the various activities. Because of student choice, in the student recording, you will not be able to see all of the activities I had created, based on which ones they choose. So to begin with, all students will see this as their opening slide, where I go over the objectives and just then the literacy strategy of compass points. Um, then it will take them to their first collaboration board activity. We'll answer the question, post their initial thoughts, and then elaborate more verbally. Then when we get to the east step, this is where they get student option, like student choice. So depending on which one they do, you'll either see the option one activity where they'll match the list of styles to the appropriate Gothic or early Renaissance period, or they'll choose option two, which is a more visual activity where they arrange examples into one of the two categories. So I just want to show you what each of them look like. If they go with option one, this is what they'll see, where I have it as a draw it kind of board, and they would read each of the characteristics. So I have six total, three for each, or they'll just simply write like number one or number four, and then explain why they put that specific characteristic under this chart. If they have trouble and they're not quite sure what it means or need to look at references, I did include this instructions, and it links them to a Google slide where I put examples. So here I just put a collection of Gothic examples and then a collection of early Renaissance examples. And from that point, I can either ask guiding questions or they can simply look at the images and then go back to this chart to help them. So that's option one. The second option they could choose is through a Padlet link, and this is the visual option. So if they were to click on the Padlet, they'll leave and go to this here, and this is the visual example. So what they would do is just go through each of the artworks and move the appropriate artworks under each of the categories. And then once they've done that, they would go ahead and explain those characteristics. So they're explaining the visual connections that they see after they had grouped them accordingly. Okay, so that would be one of those two options is what you'll see. Then we'll move into the second part. This is part two of the East step where they're making those connections. So I gave them, or I should say, I picked out six areas of the artwork, but the student will have choice. So they'll only have to pick three of these six to talk about and reference if it connects to the Gothic or Renaissance style. Then we're going to move into the South step, where it's another just collaboration board. I already at a time put in the artwork image again in case they need to reference it, but they'll answer the question, post their thoughts, and then further explain verbally, followed by the last step, which is the West. And here, this is a draw it slide where they're going to connect how we went from Gothic to Lawrence the Bridge, and then predict kind of where the future Renaissance is going to go. Okay, and that's how we're going to conclude. So that just gives you an overview of the various activities that they will be completing in this DBA.